A very warm welcome to Tech Mining. This is the segment that you use to enter and record financial transactions. On the initial page of this segment, you select a voucher type, which you created in Part 5 video of this series. Clicking the Create button calls the Voucher Form page, where you create a new voucher for the selected type. The number item can receive values up to 10 digits, whereas the date should fall within the period appearing just above the Enter Voucher region. Add a description of up to 150 characters to describe the transaction. In the Transaction Details region, you enter transactions by selecting the affected accounts from the chart of accounts, COA, and cost centers, and you input the amount involved in the transaction either in the debit or credit column. The reference column is used to save additional information, such as check or invoice numbers. Using the Add Row button, you can record any number of transactions in a single voucher. Transaction data will be saved in two tables, GL_TRAN master and GL_TRAN detail. The master table contains header information for each voucher, while the details table carries transaction information. The two tables are linked together using a common key, TRAN number, following a one-to-many relationship in which a single voucher record in the master table can have multiple records in the details table. The TRAN_detail_get cost center trigger is used to populate default cost centers in the details table from the COA when no cost center is selected during voucher creation. Let's start creating this segment. Create lists of values, LOVs. You will use the first LOV in the Transaction Details region to select financial accounts from the COA for each transaction. Download source code from video description to get SQL queries code. Open Part 14 folder, you'll get the code for all text files used in the video. The second LOV will be used to fetch and create vouchers for the selected type. This segment is also based on two pages. Click Master Detail option. The master page, page 42, will show header information from the master table. The detail page, page 43, will have two regions, Enter Voucher and Transaction Details. The Enter Voucher region will receive header information, whereas the second region will be used to enter details of each transaction. Modify the master page, page 42. Execute the following steps. Replace the existing SQL query with the source code SQL query. When you select a voucher type from the select list, the report is refreshed using the conditions specified in the where clause and displays vouchers related to the selected company, year, month, and type. Remember to save your work after each and every step, which is not performed in the video. Create 3 hidden page items, to hold the company code, year, and month ID values. You fetch values for these items through individual select statements. These values are forwarded through the Create button to the Details page, page 43, to record vouchers in the proper company and period. This select list item, P42_voucher code, is added to display all voucher types. When you switch voucher types, the page is submitted to fetch vouchers related to the selected type. Modify the Create button. Upon page submission, item values on the master page, preceded with the ampersand symbol and terminated with a full stop, will be forwarded to the corresponding items on page 43, under the Set Items column. Modify the detail page, page 43. Execute the following set of steps to modify the details page. This static ID attribute value will be used in a JavaScript in a subsequent step. This interactive grid was displayed only when P43_transaction number carried some value. With this amendment, the form will always be visible. These three items will accept voucher header information manually from users. All other items will have auto-generated values, as configured in the next couple of steps. Note that the database table GL_transaction detail has a column labeled company code, which is added to the table to implement a constraint. This column will default to the value held in P43_company code, which was evaluated and forwarded by the master page in the previous step. These changes will present the column as a pop-up LOV, from where you can pick an account from the chart of accounts. These settings will show 0 as the default value in the former two columns. The 0 value is stored in the reconciled column to mark every transaction initially as unreconciled. After reconciling a transaction with the bank, in Part 21 video of this series, these default values will be replaced with 1. Add and modify page items. This first page item is added to display the selected voucher type. This item is to be placed between the voucher code and voucher number page items. You assess the voucher type using the value held in the page item P43_voucher code. The attributes in this step are set to align the P43_voucher number and P43_voucher date items horizontally, with the voucher type item. Add page items to show totals. Create 3 page items to show grand totals of debit and credit columns. This third page item will be used to show the difference between the first two page items. Add JavaScript to evaluate difference. Execute the following step to evaluate difference in a voucher. For this purpose, you need to add a little JavaScript code to page 43. Create dynamic actions. Create the following dynamic actions to calculate the values in debit and credit columns and check the difference between these values. The first dynamic action will fire when you modify values in an existing voucher. While the second one will trigger for new vouchers. Create following validations. The first validation checks for the existence of a voucher number and the presence of a valid voucher date. For PL/SQL expression code, open the file named PL/SQL expressions 14.8, 14.12 and match the first query. The second validation checks difference in a voucher. Open the same file as done previously for PL SQL expression property. Third validation is used to check debit and credit values in a voucher. Fourth and last validation is created to check verified and posted status of a voucher. Modify the default processes. Leave the first process to default. The first process is used to assign the primary key, populated from a sequence, to the page item P43_transaction number. Modify second process. This second process display vouchers related to the selected criteria. In the absence of this clause, all vouchers can be navigated through using the next and previous buttons, irrespective of company, year, month, and voucher type. Open the same file as done previously for PL SQL expression property. As per general accounting standards, verified vouchers and system-generated closing vouchers must not be modified or deleted. Modify the default conditions for the buttons to prevent these actions. Before running this segment, make custom scheme, your current authentication scheme, to get rid of login errors. Sign into the application using the user super credentials, which was created in Part 8 video. This segment assumes you have completed all the previous videos fully and have sufficient sample data entered. For instance, selecting a voucher type is mandatory, therefore, you must have created at least one. The selected voucher type will be displayed as a read-only item on the details page. The date should fall within the period appearing just above the Enter Voucher region. This is a payment voucher to pay a creditor, AB Enterprises, through a bank, ABN AMRO, against their invoice number 78,345. There are many other things covered in this video that need some testing on your part. Revisit and give this segment a thorough test run by trying different things, especially those related to the 4 validations. Once you have thoroughly tested the application by entering different types of transactions in different fiscal periods, move on to the next video, where you will create a form to search the transactions you entered here. Thank you for watching the video.